think we are live. Yay! Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Capacity Conversations. I am everybody's favorite capacity coach, Nicole Roan, and I am super excited, about this conversation tonight. I have with me the amazing Lynnecia Eley, aka the Confidence Doula, who is joining me. You guys have, heard her on the podcast, seen her on a couple of other lives, and y'all know what? She is one of the speakers for the upcoming Capacity Conference, and so we'll talk about that just a little bit. But Lynnecia, thank you so much for being willing to be part of this conversation as we talk about unlearning and undoing unhealthy habits. I know who you are, but let the people know who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Nicole. I am so excited to be here. So, yes, I am Lynnecia Eley. And if you don't know me, I am a coffee loving, Southern food eating, loud talking music lover who is also known as the Confidence Doula. What that is I help guide and support women and young adults into just being self-aware and self-assured of their abilities to succeed. I am also a university assistant dean and adjunct professor. I am a multi-brand founder of businesses that just inspire and empower women to just do great things, from authors, entrepreneurship, to C-suite executives. All those things in between, I am empowering and helping women just birth their purpose.
Listen, I done muted myself. I'm over here nodding and smiling. Come on, Georgetown University.
That would be the university, yes.
I love what you do and how you help so many of us. And I know that you were recently given an award. Is that true?
You are correct, ma'am. I am so excited. Sometimes it is surreal, and I have to keep reminding myself that is when we talk about unhealthy habits. A great healthy habit to adapt is to celebrate all things, all your accomplishments, whether big or small. But yes, I am a recent recipient of an International Impact Book Award for one of my latest books. The book is titled The Three M's to Writing Your Book Toolkit. So it is a toolkit just that helps aspiring authors unpack the mindset, the messaging, and then write their manuscript so that they can publish the story that they have inside.
I love it. And we're in a book together, and you have, your own books, and really being able to get all of that out, it takes a process. And I love that you've been able, to put that together. When I think about what we're talking about tonight, as far as unhealthy habits and unlearning them, I wanted to start and ask if you could talk to us a little bit about, where do unhealthy habits come from? How do we get into these unhealthy habits?
So the psychology behind unhealthy habits is they're formed from behaviors that are just automatic responses to our environment, to what we've seen growing up, our childhood, our culture sometimes. An unhealthy habit is really our brain's reward system. So it reinforces the behaviors that provide us pleasure or relief, or just some sort of psychological response to a very short or immediate happiness that doesn't last very long. That's what makes it
instant gratification.
Exactly. That's what makes it unhappy. And just understanding how we absorb these behaviors from attitudes, from our surroundings, from, we're seeing our parents and how they manage stress in our household as children. Those become habits or unhealthy habits that show up in our lives as adults.
I love it. And I think when I pause and think about, some of the habits that were kind of just given to me, right? That I absorbed from things that I saw or things that I heard. I know we were talking offline before we started, and one of those unhealthy habits that I learned was not being able to ask for help. And a big part of that is because, my mom never asked for help with anything. She, would cook and clean and go to work and take care of us and do it with a smile in front of us, right?
Right.
And then, seeing aunties and grandmothers, and it became second nature. Like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to do all of this and not ask nobody for help because they didn't ask anybody for help. And so as an adult, getting married, having kids, running a business, being a full-time employee, that became ingrained in me. So tell me about an unhealthy habit that maybe you have been working to unlearn and undo, or if you have an example of that as well.
First, I want to touch on that unhealthy habit.
Yes, ma'am. Go for it.
Because how many of us, especially as women, as young girls, we've heard the women in our lives, our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers say, just get out of the way, let me do it, because you're not going to do it right. I'll do it. I got to do it because I know how to do it, or I'm going to get it done. So what we do as adults, we grow up saying, I have to do it if I want it done right. That is an unhealthy learned habit behavior that is a trauma from our childhood, to be completely honest. But in my journey of unlearning unhealthy habits, I had to realize that I had an attachment to perfectionism. Now, a lot of us don't like to call a thing a thing.
Call the thing a thing.
But I'm going to
Call
call it a thing. I had an unhealthy attachment to perfectionism, and it caused me anxiety, stress, all those things, overwhelm, burnout, all those things, because I was constantly trying to meet impossible standards. I was constantly trying to address those childhood traumas of not being good enough. You know how we're told, like, oh, you're not good enough, you're too emotional, or you're too, whatever.
You extra.
You extra, right? And all that led to just being overwhelmed and burnt out and then unsuccessful. It wasn't until my friend, our good friend, Latika, said to me, you got to be done, not perfect. And I was like, wait a minute.
Say it again, because somebody else needs to hear that.
Listen, DNP. And if you talk to me, anytime you talk to me in whatever capacity, I will repeat, you have to be DNP. Done, not perfect. Because it's something I had to learn. I had to unlearn perfectionism and learn to be done, not perfect, because that is a mindset of being good enough. What you have that you're offering, or your service, whether you're an entrepreneur or a career professional, you have to know and have that confidence within that you are good enough. You have to unlearn that habit of it has to be perfect, or what is perfect in your eyes. Like, define it. Who defines that?
You see me looking around.
Put a head down. Listen. But recognizing that and working to unlearn it, undo, those the habits that we've embraced, just allowed me to, rather than be perfect, to just signal my overall happiness and just be done, and then also celebrate when I'm done.
We could stop because you just gave a whole word. Attachment to perfectionism. That resonates with me so much. Thank you for sharing that, because I run around saying that I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? Because it is a process when you are unlearning how to do any sort of bad habit, but especially being a perfectionist, you have to talk yourself off the ledge, and you have to say exactly what you said. DNP, done, not perfect. And not only, as a business owner, but I can recall times, even recently, in the work that I do as an HR leader, this presentation needs to be perfect before, I go out and train these people on how to get their yellow belt for Lean Six Sigma, or this emotional intelligence training, these questions need to be perfect so they can answer them and I can pull. No, because what that ends up doing is causing you that additional overwhelm, the frustration. I don't know about you or anybody that's listening or watching or catching the replay, but sometimes you can get so stuck that you do nothing.
Right.
Nothing, right?
I call it avoidance, that avoidance
Yeah.
syndrome. I get into those modes where I've done so much and I've overworked myself mentally, physically, then that I just sit and I'm avoiding. I know I have a list of things to do, but I'm just going to avoid it. It
I'm
could
gonna
be
do
3
something else.
days, but I'm going to avoid it.
And then you wait to the last minute, right? And I can recall telling myself, so again, this was one of those unhealthy habits that I needed to unlearn, that I work better under pressure. No, you don't. Yes, it gets the juices flowing, but that's an excuse, right? We're programmed to tell ourselves that because that's been our natural response based on things that we've been through. I no longer feel comfortable waiting until the last minute to do something. That stresses me out. It makes my chest hurt. I get to sweating. I'm like, oh, why did I do this? So as I've unlearned these things, it has helped me to realize what works and what doesn't work. I was doing a podcast recording earlier today with a group of ladies, and we were talking about daddy issues. And it's so good. I cannot wait till it comes out. I'm not going to ruin everything. But one of the things that we talked about was perfectionism coming up from childhood, right? Because sometimes, you become a perfectionist and an overachiever or high achiever because you're trying to control the situation, right? You don't want to hurt. You don't want, to frustrate anybody else. You're trying to live up to somebody else's standards. And so it's a whole thing. So I love that you said that. This perfectionist stuff, we need to put that on the back seat. Everybody say it with me. Done, not perfect.
Yes, DNP, done not perfect. But I also want to say that you touched on, so you said, being high capacity, high driven, high, I live in that space. And I actually think I said it today in an email, as a high capacity, high driven woman, we say those things because it's attachments that we've attached kind of like our success and our titles to. But it is very unhealthy because it pushes us into that stage of burnout. And I was doing, this made me think of, I think it was a Bible study that I was doing last week. And one of the pastors said that you can't burn out if you've never been on fire. And that stuck with me because through a lot of my career or just my working years, I have been, because I'm on fire, this girl is on fire. She's working, like, turn me up and let me loose because I'm going to get it done. But that caused burnout. And we have to make sure we are checking the temperature. We are checking the attachments. We are checking the learned behaviors that we've attached to so that we can constantly unlearn them. Learning to not be a perfectionist is a daily struggle. We just don't unattach. We just don't learn to do something else. Because if we pick up something else, it's probably going to be another unhealthy habit. Mm-hmm. So it is.
You drop that, pick up something else.
It is a daily challenge to just say, hold up, stop. Is this done? If it's done, submit it, send it in.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And Chanel loved it too. She said, you cannot burn out if you've never been on fire. If that's not the truth, thank you, Pastor, for sharing that. Because, when you are the go-to, right? The one who knows how to get stuff done, you typically are on fire because you're making it happen. You are, showing up in excellence. But in order for you to do that in a sustainable way, you got to be able to manage your capacity and to understand these attachments that you have. So I want to circle back a little bit. Okay. And I want to ask you to talk to us about what attachments are and how they impact your capacity. Mm-hmm. And then I'll ask a follow-up after that.
Oof. So, my goodness, attachments are um, things we hold on to, those ingrained habits, beliefs, behaviors that no longer serve us, but sometimes we don't realize it. And we're always told, or we tell ourselves, we gotta let it go. Whoo, girl, let it go. But the reality is, sometimes somebody got to come and snatch that thing from you. You got to lose your attachment sometimes for you to be unattached from them. And that's something that I want to shameless plug. We're going to do at the conference next week is I am going to snatch a few unhealthy attachments from those that are in the room because these are mental and emotional patterns that just keep us stuck in routines that don't serve us.
I'm hemming and hawing over here in my chocolate chip cookie voice. Yes. Talk about it. Go ahead.
And I'm trying not to give it all away because I do want to reserve a little bit, but the attachments is just recognizing and understanding what's holding you back. And in most cases, these are limiting beliefs. In a lot of cases, for high capacity, career driven women, it is an attachment to your title. It's an attachment to the labels. And it could be, positive labels. Like a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, that's Assistant Dean Eley. I'm not attached to that label, but I can be attached to, Lynn, the one that if it needs to be done, she's going to be on the floor with the advisor. She's going to be on the phone and she's going to help get it done. That's what I want to be attached to, not the label, not the title. And then you have those other attachments where someone may say, have you ever been called, combative, aggressive? Like those are attachments that are bestowed upon us that we cling to. And I used to talk about clinging to being a strong Black woman. What does that mean? Who gave us that title?
That's that unlearned, unhealthy
Why
habit
are we
that was
why
given
are
to
we
us.
attached to it? Right. Why do we attach so to it? Is that a positive? We always say, oh, because I'm a strong Black woman. So what that is that tells people I can throw anything at you. I can put anything on your shoulders and you'll keep it, you'll hold it, you'll deal with it. Let
And
it
then we
go.
do it with pride, right?
We do it
Until
with
we
pride. Like we stick our
until
chest
we
out and say,
are on
listen,
fire. I
we
used to
learn.
I used to be so attached to that, Lynnecia, attached to being the strong one. That's where I got my confidence from, right? Because I could do everything. And I posted about this a couple of weeks ago. I was addicted to being needed, right? Because it felt so good until it didn't, until I'm like, get somebody else to do it. I'm tired. I don't have the capacity for that. And so I love that you did a shameless plug because, yes, we are having the capacity conference and you are going to be hosting an entire workshop on this. I'm so excited about that. And it's going to be great. And as I hear you talk, it makes me think about, and I know I asked you this, so I'll stop talking in a second, how it relates to capacity. And for me, I always say that, one of the keys to managing your capacity is awareness. You cannot face what you do not, you can't fix what you don't face. And so being aware of these attachments, being aware of the unhealthy habits that have been given to you, and being able to get to the root of it is what allows you to undo it so that you can unlearn it, essentially, right?
Right.
So anything you want to add to how attachments have anything to do with capacity?
Well, just like you mentioned, when you have these attachments, attachments to always being needed, attachments to perfectionism, what happens is you empty your cup. You empty your fuel tank. You use all the tools in your toolbox. You give them away. And then what do you have? You're empty. You need to be refilled. When your cup is dry, who's there for you? So that when you don't have that capacity, you need to be able to tap back into your source and rebuild. And how do you do that? you release that unhealthy attachment, you release those the labels, the shame, the trauma from your childhood, and then you start attaching yourself to things like affirmations. You attach yourself to mindfulness, attach yourself to learning and adapting the confidence that you need within. Sometimes our attachments tells us that you're not confident because it doesn't show in how others perceive you. But let me tell you, as the confidence doula, confidence is an attitude. So once you adopt that attitude, you walk in a space as if you own that space, as if they're waiting for you. So when you walk in that room and they see you, there's like, she has something to say. And I want to be in her presence and I want to be within earshot when she speaks. That attitude is going to show on outwardly once you adopt it on the inside. If you don't believe yourself that you've released an attachment, if you want to say, I'm going to fake it on the outside, but I know deep inside, whew, these people don't believe a word I'm saying. They're not going to. And that's how it's going to convey when you open your mouth and speak. So put your confidence as an attitude, and you put that attitude on daily. You download a new software every morning that says, I'm the jam.
Listen, can I ask you to drop your affirmations in the chat or on the replay? Because I know we weren't going to talk about this, and part of this is going to, go into the conference, but I think that it's important because when you are trying to fake it till you make it, yeah, that's good sometimes. But again, when you go back to sustainable, that's not sustainable.
Right.
And I remember you saying in one of our other episodes how your confidence enters the room before you do.
It does. Absolutely.
Literally. And so being able to own that and to step into that, is going to help you in your business. It's going to help you in your relationships. It's going to help you on your job, and really being able to have that attitude and have something that's going to fill up that cup. And I know those affirmations do that. So
they do. So I will absolutely drop a link to, I have 43 affirmations, morning affirmations. That's an audio replay that can replay for women to just have that moment, 5 to 6 minutes every morning, to just tell yourself you're worthy, you're kind, you're a magnet for great things, you have a purpose, and also, most importantly, the love that you have for yourself. Because if you don't have it within for self, you cannot accept it. Not even want it from somebody. You will be unable to accept it if you don't first accept it within yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to talk a little bit about, if you could tell us one way that you have unlearned or undone an unhealthy habit.
So what I've done recently, I have been intentional about having some moments of mindfulness. So that helps center me, help me release anxiety, stress, and just detach from whatever it is that has me all knotted up, as they would say. One thing that I enjoy doing now, just recently over the last couple of weeks, is what I call a body scan. Have you heard of a body scan?
No, come on, tell me about this.
Listen, I'm no psychologist, no therapist, no doctor, but some people call me Dr. Eley.
Come on, Dr. Eley. Putting that in the atmosphere.
Listen, put it out there in the atmosphere. I'm no medical professional at all. But what I do know is that when I spend a few moments a day laying down, like on a hard surface, on the floor, on my back, and just mentally scanning my body from head to toe. Close your eyes and mentally do a body scan. And as you scan, you just notice any areas of tension or tightness or, strain, and just right then and there, release it. Say, bye-bye headache. congestion in your, like, as you go down, that bubble gut feeling that you may get when you are
Not the
scared.
BGs.
Not the BG. But I'm
I
saying
know.
those scared feelings, those anxiety, when fear starts, bubbling up like heartburn. Like,
Mm-hmm.
lay there and just connect. Sometimes I do that, one hand on my heart, one hand on my head, and you just breathe and you body scan and you connect and you just allow things to release from you. It's so helpful. It's been so helpful to me. Another way is journaling. Now, I love to write. I write things down that has no purpose, but I just because I like to write.
Mm-hmm.
But journaling is another way, and you can just take a few minutes to write down your thoughts. Sometimes it doesn't have to be full sentences. It can be doodles. It can be words that pop into your head. It can be drawings. Just reflect on it and help, and have journaling be a way to release and unlearn, or learn a new habit that is positive and healthy.
Mm-hmm. All of that. All of that. I love mindfulness and I love starting the day that way. I remember when my dad was still here, I would, call and be like, Dad, I'm so stressed and this, that, and the third. And he would say, ma'am, I'm going to need you the first thing in the morning, sit down and center yourself. Sit down, center yourself, pray, do whatever you need to do, but stop hitting the ground running, because that is going to burn you out. And so for years now, that's been something that I've been doing. Also, journaling, I love that because it allows you to be aware, right? You are pulling out the stuff that you're holding on to, like the thoughts, the feelings, whether you slept good last night, if you're worried about, the project that you have at work or the conference that you got happening next week, whatever it is, right? You allow yourself you know, to feel it and to get it out. And so I love that you shared that. I see a couple of comments in here. Let's see.
That's what I call, journaling is what I call narrative therapy.
Listen, talk
Yeah.
about this narrative therapy, because I have a clip of us from our podcast episode that's going to be coming out later this week. So let the people know what narrative therapy is.
Now, it's a thing. I'm no therapist again. I have to keep giving disclaimers because I don't
Disclaimer.
want y'all out here. I'm no therapist. But I call it narrative therapy. And sometimes you have to write it out. Just like you call a thing, write it out. Call it what it is, and release it. And that therapy of just narrating what you're feeling, what you've experienced. Sometimes that narration could be, here's how I wish I did something different. Like, have you ever been in a situation at work where you allowed something to get you completely out of character? What I've done is that night, sat down and rewrote the narrative, rewrote that situation and how I wish I would have responded or done things differently or had that opposite action. And then what that does is that helps me be self-aware. It helps me be reflective and say, you know what? Next time you're faced with that, here's how you're going to react differently to save yourself, not for the other person, to save yourself. So narrative therapy is much about writing your own story. Don't accept and stop accepting the stories that other people write about you. Narrate your own or rewrite the stories that others have wrote about you.
I love it. Come on, narrative therapy. Soon to be Dr. Eley. Oh
Now,
my
if I see
goodness.
it on a shirt, I need my credit. Okay.
Listen. I'm gonna need you to go and trademark that.
Listen, I don't need nobody out here. Don't plagiarize the professor now.
Oh, listen, please don't. And I'm not even. As you were talking, I thought about a couple of other things that come up as far as me unlearning. And I'm sure you've probably experienced this too. We've talked about procrastination already, but I think the big one has been unlearning self-sacrificing. Because
as a mom, first of all, let's pause there. pause there. Not just with work, because I know we talk a lot about being professionals or entrepreneurs, and we sacrifice a lot for our jobs and our careers and our businesses. But ma'am, as a mom, how much do we sacrifice? And I'm not saying, I can complain about it, but I'm gonna do it every time
Mm-hmm.
because that's me as a mom. But self-sacrificing is huge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We self-sacrifice in so many ways, like you said, across our businesses, at work, but especially as a mom and even as a partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our friendships, for our family. I know that I learned how to prioritize self-sacrificing because, again, when I would stay late or take the extra assignment, it was, oh my gosh, you got us out of that. I appreciate you so much. I'm like, huh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So that fueled my confidence. It fueled my self-esteem. Or even if I would have, one of my siblings call and say, I'm stuck. Can you come pick me up? Or can you send this? And I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, you saved my life. That self-sacrificing, I had to learn that it was detrimental to my well-being, to my capacity, sometimes to my pocketbook, sometimes to my mental health, sometimes to my physical health. And even as a mom, sacrificing everything all the time, running on no sleep, I've had to learn how to put boundaries around that too. I'm going to self-sacrifice to an extent every time, right? For my children, for the people that I love, but also understanding how that impacts my capacity. And am I attached to feeling like this is what makes me a good mom, or this is what makes me a good wife or sister, or whatever it is? Baby, I had to unlearn that thing.
Right. And what you said is self-sacrificing has a direct connection to our brain's reward system. So when we self-sacrifice and people please, people tell us, "Oh, you're the only one to do it. You always come
Ain't
through. I
nobody
know
do
if
it
I
like
call you,
you.
listen, can't nobody make the potato salad like you, and you know you
And you
try.
be like, you know what? You're right. Let me
You
go
right.
on
Let
and
me go ahead and
supposed to go do something else. Let me make this potato salad for you.
exactly. That is your brain's reward system. That is the psychology behind the unhealthy habits that we adopt or we allow other people to put on us. So you're right. As the capacity coach, boundaries, ma'am. I come to you to help remind me of my boundaries because you said, ma'am, are you supposed to be doing that?
Do you have the capacity for that?
What does your capacity say about another job, another business, another,
Mhm.
so we have to have these conversations with ourselves. And trust me, you're not crazy to talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. And
Mhm.
I do answer myself.
Mhm. I was gonna say the same thing. Who else gonna answer you if you're talking to yourself?
Listen, I give the best advice. I give the best advice.
Oh my goodness. I know we've been on here for about 30 minutes. And so I want to wrap up and just thank you for sharing what you've shared. I know there is so much more that you are going to share for the people who are coming to the capacity conference happening in a little over a week. Can you believe it? It's already here. It's already here. Oh my goodness. 8 days, but who's counting, right?
Nobody's
Um,
counting.
Nobody's counting. Nobody's counting. But yes, you've shared so much. And I know that the women who are in the room are going to get 10 times this because we're going to actually go through how do you unlearn those attachments, and then we're going to reframe them. And so, I want to make sure that everybody who is here, who is listening, who is catching the replay, whether you are in the Chicago, Wisconsin, Michigan, Midwest, if you are coming from the Maryland area like Lynnecia is, we want you to make sure that you get in the room and come to the capacity conference so that we can give you the tools, the resources, the strategies to actually manage your capacity. And what that means is being able to prioritize your priorities, being able to put yourself at the top of that priority list, and to learn how to stop giving from an empty, dry, cracked cup. because a lot of us have over the years learned that that's how things should be. And the truth is, Chanel says something in the comments that you have to put your mask on first. And so this conference is going to give you the tangible tools and resources to be able to do that so that you have sustainable success. So you can show up, at work, you can show up in your business, show up in your family, and most importantly for yourself. Right. And then you teach other people around you how to do that. So I invite all of you to come to the Capacity Conference happening August 1st and 2nd next week. It will be myself, Lynnecia, a whole bunch of other wonderful ladies. It's 2 days of not just empowerment, and it's not your typical conference. It's you come get in the room and do the work. So we're not just going to talk at you. We're going to work with you so that you have a plan once you leave the Capacity Conference to set you up for sustainable success. So I will make sure that I leave the link in the comments, and just thank you all for joining. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. And Lynnecia,
hold on. Don't we have a giveaway?
We do have a giveaway, girl. I forgot that fast. The conversation got so good.
Because I want people in the room, because we talked about those attachments. I want to be able to walk around the room and snatch some attachments away from you, some of you. So make sure you're there. But we have a giveaway.
We do have a giveaway. So how you want to do this, ma'am?
I don't know. We need to ask somebody.
Let's do this. So wherever you are listening or watching from, I need you to tag Lynnecia and myself. And I need you to say, I'm ready. The first person that does that will be able to get a free ticket to come to the Capacity Conference. Tag us on whatever platform you're listening. So whether this is Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and if you can't tag, you should be able to do it in the comments to connect us and say, I'm ready. And so I want to say later this evening, we will be reaching out to let you know who the winner of it is, but we are so excited for all of you ladies who are going to be in the room, because y'all are going to walk out different women. And yes, thank you for reminding me about the giveaway, because I'm like, wait a minute, it was good.
Good to go. But no, I want to make sure that we get some additional person in the room with us next week. So make sure you tag the both of us and say, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Like SpongeBob, I'm ready. I'm showing my age. I'm done. Okay. All right, y'all. We are going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in next week. We are doing another session of Capacity Conversations. We're going to have these, once a week. I'm going to be hosting these with all kinds of folks, not just speakers from the conference, but from women, around the world who are going to be able to help us to create capacity so that we have sustainable success in both our personal and professional lives. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.